All right.
Yeah.
Kind of same stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so our last session, we talked about how you wanted to start being assertive with your children, that they would so they would respect you. Am I getting that right?
Right. Yes, with my daughter especially. So.
Yeah. And can we just like review kind of like what's going on with you
Sure,
guys?
sure, sure. My daughter, she's 14, and I'm a single parent, so kind of recently, it was within this year. So, we're both going through a lot of change and such. It's rough. It's very rough. I feel like I didn't have too much time to deal with it because, I have to be a strong foundation for my
Yeah.
daughter, and but she still sees through that, and it's difficult to kind of put a mask on. So, I'm just struggling with that, and because she kind of sees me falling apart, I feel like she's kind of taken herself into her own hands and doesn't really,
Mm-hmm.
she feels like she doesn't have a stable adult because of my state.
And you want to become that stable adult.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I want to be that again for her because that's what
Okay.
she deserves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're gonna if you're game, I want to work with kind of building your ability to be that strong person.
Okay.
So can you tell me about a time when maybe you guys have had an altercation where she's confronted you and you've not been able to be that authoritative figure in her life? Can you
Okay.
just so we have like an example?
I mean, a couple weeks ago, she wanted to go to a midnight showing of a movie, and I hadn't really given her permission yet. I mean, she's only 14, and
Yeah.
she's got friends that can drive, and they were willing to come pick her up. But I mean, I don't know who these friends are,
Mm.
so that's difficult. She kind of knows that's a requirement that I know what friends are taking her where. Especially if they're driving, um, and she also, the main reason I kept her home is because she had a big test the next morning that she'd been studying for, and um, I could tell she hadn't been really focused on it, and I just wanted her to stay home and study and be ready for it. So it was kind of a two-way street, and she was very upset that she couldn't go. They had been planning it for some time, but I hadn't been told of these plans, so I couldn't, help her to build to get there, because
Yeah.
I could have helped her and we could have made it happen, but um, I mean, I don't really like her driving home at 2 a.m. with people I don't know,
Yeah.
and it's just I'm just uncomfortable with it, and that's just been a standard I've always had, with or without her father, there to
Mm-hmm.
help me. It's just how it's been, but because I've kind of been alone, she just kind of took advantage of it and said, um, she was going to go anyway, and I basically had to ground her because she was,
Mm-hmm.
going to go against my word, and I just didn't, safety wise was my main concern.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take away her phone and things like that, and that's put a pretty big gap between us for about a week or so, week
Yeah.
and a half. So
So did she end up going to the movie?
no, no, I kept her in, and I kept her phone and everything. And I told her she had to tell her friends to go ahead without her first. So
Mm-hmm.
that's I know that was hard for her, but that's just kind of the standard I have, and I'm gonna stick to that one just because it's more of a safety thing. So
Mm-hmm. And so how would you have in what ways do you think that you failed in that?
um,
Like.
well, what hurt me is I didn't feel like I failed at first because it's just the same rules I've always had.
Mm-hmm.
But when she challenged me, I didn't know how to confront her in a more stable way. I mean, the only way I knew to stop the fighting was to take away what she
Mm-hmm.
had and ground her. Whereas it was her father, he would kind of step in and kind of back me up, and I would have support against that, but not so much.
So what I'm hearing from you is that you because you were challenged by her, you feel like you overacted, like in taking away her privileges, um, instead of being able to have a conversation with her and explain to her.
Right.
Am I hearing that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's. Um, well, which. I'm sorry. um, is there any time that you've had with in dealing with her that you think that you've been able to do it in a more constructive way? Um,
Um, I mean,
like
as a
keep your cool and stuff.
right, and as a parent, when I had my husband, it was very simple, and I felt like I was a great parent, and I never questioned that before. And because she never really challenged me, because she knew, she wasn't, she had her father also that was on the same boat, and
Mm-hmm.
that, we weren't gonna budge type of thing. But so anytime I really had him as a backup, but it's kind of now I have to fill in for two parents,
Mm-hmm.
and that male figure isn't there to kind of be stable and strong and draw the line.
Yeah.
And now she's just kind of being reckless with it and sneaking around and not really, communicating with me about what she's doing when,
Mm-hmm.
she knows those are the rules. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and do you think that her father, do you think that the way that he handled discipline with her, did his way of doing that, was that effective?
Yes, yes, it was. I mean, if she ever questioned my authority and his came behind, it would always,
Mm-hmm.
that was the answer.
So what was it in the way that he handled discipline that you think was effective? Like what was it? You know.
Mostly, I think it was just the fact that he was dad and you don't
Mm-hmm.
kind of cross dad,
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. But I think she doesn't really see me as a kind of authority figure right now. I'm not really seen as a parent anymore. And it wasn't the fact that he did anything much different than me. It's just his absence now kind of left that void, and she's kind of running with it.
Mm-hmm. I hear you saying that you think that you're not. She doesn't see you as a parent.
Mm.
Can you explain that?
Um, I mean, it's just I definitely don't feel the same amount of respect I used to have
Mm-hmm.
from her, and so that's tough because it's very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the number one thing is just definitely no respect like I used to get, and that just makes me nervous because I feel like she's just kind of slipping away and I'm losing her. And when you lose their respect, you kind of lose them all together. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes me nervous.
Um, is there someone in your life that models the kind of like authority? You mentioned like your husband had that like natural authority. Is there anyone in your life that has that same like a kind of authority like aspect? What does someone like that look like? What did it?
Right, right. I mean,
If they were walk into a room, like what would define them that authority?
personally in my life, I don't know of anyone like her father, but my father growing up was very much like that, but he's passed now. Um, but I don't know, just a kind of person when you walk in the room, they just, you immediately respect them and there's someone to be listened to. And not because they are authority and because, it's, or they'll punish me, but because they want, that person wants to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to be to her. I want her to want to respect me and to appreciate
Mm-hmm.
me as a parent. And know that I'll be a good leader for her and I only want the best and the safest thing for her. But,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's just she doesn't. I think she kind of let go of that light. She just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't see me in that way anymore.
Now, what do you think that would have to change? Like, do you know what would have to change in you to help you become like that person that has natural authority that other people would notice when you walk into the room? What's different from you and them?
Um, I mean, it's I don't know. It's hard because I never doubted myself before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that kind of like now that my backup's gone, I feel very small. I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like I deserve to be more, like I deserve to be respected more than her just because, I feel like kind of what's happened is partially my fault um, and that's difficult to accept. So I still want us to be friends, but I can't be friends with her until she respects me.
Right.
So, I mean, more than anything, to get respect from her, it would just have to be that she more understands the situation. That I think that's the only way she would get it is, that her father isn't going to be here to back things up anymore and to say, you draw the line that that's my job now,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and she needs to come to terms with that. And I mean, it's not just her fault. I also need to learn, I need to learn to be assertive and
Mm-hmm.
be confident in that role, that there's plenty of people that do single parenting and are successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to fill that role, and it's just kind of a slow adaptation into it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You said a lot there. Yeah. Um, kind of we'll sift through that. You said that you felt like you were responsible for what happened.
Mm.
Can you explain that? Like, I mean, even like what happened, and like why do you think that you feel like that blame is on you? And you said that it's not just you that she sees that too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the divorce wasn't just me or just him. We both, knew something wasn't right, and it was just, we just kind of fallen out of love, and he had dreams to go in the opposite direction of what I wanted, and um, I mean, I couldn't hold him from that anymore
Mm-hmm.
because he was just making himself miserable, and it hurt me to every time that, that kind of I was left kind of in the dark, and all he wanted was his dreams that he had, in other places. So, um, we kind of mutually decided that we had to go, but I mean, I always feel like I could have fought harder, and made some, you know, compromises. We tried that quite a bit throughout our relationship, but it was just to the point that that's kind of all he saw, and that's what he wanted, and he was going to go after it, and kind of whether we followed suit or not wasn't, that was kind of secondary to him. So I didn't think that was a healthy leader for her to have in her life, and I didn't want that either. So
Mm-hmm.
it deep down, I know it's kind of what had to happen, and if it did now, it probably would later.
Yeah. It seems like you were assertive in this situation.
Right. I mean, I knew it was something that had to be done.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe we can use that power that you had then,
Mm.
to kind of feel your interaction with your daughter too.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you felt like uh, you were not supported with the loss of your husband. Um, is there anybody else in your life that you feel like contributes to you that you could turn to for support, like any family or close friends or church organization or anything, or any kind of community organization that feel is are on your side.
Right. I mean, my daughter and I, we still go to the same church we've always gone to, so that's kind of a type of family that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, and she's got friends there, and those are friends that I know and I trust, and I know their parents. So that's always a safe environment for both of us. And we go to church outings whenever we can and do their events. So that's definitely a stable place for us.
And like you have some good relationship with those people that go to that church then.
Mhm. Yes.
Have you ever thought about you know talking to them and relating some of your parenting trials and stuff? Kind of it might be, I don't know, valuable thing to kind of join together and
Mm-hmm.
helping each other out. What do you think about?
No, I agree. I've never really thought about it just because when I think about this problem, I kind of only consider it my own thing to work with. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she's my daughter, so I feel like it's my responsibility to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's certainly an idea to, because I know there's a couple single parents in the church also, that have,
Yeah.
kids kind of in their teenage years. It's just
Mhm.
a rough time as it is, but yeah, that's definitely something I'll consider.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely would encourage you, not to feel alone in this problem. I mean, I see many people, and single parenting, it's a powerful, it's a powerful responsibility, but, people are doing it, and, I would really, encourage you that you're doing something, um, wonderful in your kid's life. I really think you have the strength to do this.
Well,
You just
thank
have to
you.
find your support systems, and,
Right,
one of the easiest things to do is to try to take all of it on ourselves. I think,
right,
you know.
right.
Well, cool. Um, well, I think we're almost out of time, but I think that we've made some progress. I would definitely encourage you to get in contact with some of the single parents, and maybe even the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you think that you'd be able to make some contacts in between sessions?
Yeah, I can absolutely try.
Yeah.
We've got an outing this Wednesday, so I could try that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep thinking about ways that um, you've been successfully assertive
Mm-hmm.
in your interactions with your daughter, and let that kind of just think about that, and how you react to them. And that could help you interact later. We can do this a long run. We can do this.
Okay.
You feel comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I look forward to seeing you again.
Well, thank you. Me too.